Randy Savig spent his childhood exploring the woods, waters, and farmlands of northern Minnesota. He has always been fascinated with the unknown. In 1998, he moved to southwest Missouri and started to study a Bigfoot phenomenon. A couple of years back, he decided to take research from the computers in the woods and join the NABRC. He since has been focusing on audio recordings and analyzing the market and science of this elusive creature.
A couple of times.
He's from a really great area.
No, not monster.
I remember talking to Randy a couple of years ago about some of the signs that he was finding in his area. And he has nurtured this area along and really done a fine job. Being non-oppressive and just going in and letting the animals come to him. We've had some really good results. But I'm going to do a little ceremony thing. Well, we've got another promotion that we have to deal with before we leave. So go ahead and hang out. We're going to have another promotion. And if you guys don't mind, we have somebody who'd like to promote.
Anyway, I had a section on that.
Don.
I was up there 2 years ago. I was walking out in this area behind my wife's parents' house. And I didn't see anything. I
I'm the executive director for the NABRC, and we've started thinking about things that we needed to do to recognize some of our members of the group. So we began a little campaign to decide who was going to be our first researcher of the year of the NABRC. And with the help of these gentlemen behind me, we got Randy Harrington, he's the deputy executive director. We got our two co-directors from Missouri. We got Don Stockton, we got Scotty Plowman. Carl, you want to come on up? Carl is our regional director for the Mid-South area. He was up there earlier when we gave short round his. What we'd like to do is, there's been an individual in the group that has really put a lot of effort in the last year. It's come a long way, and it's with a lot of pride that I'd like to present Randy with the Researcher of the Year Award. Come on up here. Randy goes out on almost a daily basis to do recordings, and
how much for the t-shirts?
I mean, he's done a great job. He's well liked in the group. He's just up the road from us, so he comes down whenever he can. But Randy,
speech.
And we got your coffee cup since you like to drink coffee so much.
Very well. Well, again, this is definitely unexpected. I go out and do a lot in the woods because I've got a lot of people backing me and standing by me. I mean, every time I need some support, I get on the phone, I talk to some people, I get in. I don't get told that that's not bad. That's not bad. Not too many people have, taken me too seriously in my life. And again, that's because I shouldn't be too serious. But yeah, thank you. I don't know what else to say.
Here's your special presentation here, Randy. And before he actually starts, I do want to thank the two ladies that's been in the kitchen today. It's been Randy's wife, Shirley, and of course my wife, Bobby, wherever she is. Oh well, she didn't get to hear her accolades, so.
We'll tell her that it was true.
I got it recorded.
I'll turn it over to Randy and let him run with it.
I really think I did that right. we just do it this way. Is everybody able to hear me? I know I'm a quiet individual, bashful and all that. My presentation today is, again, according to the unknown. I mean, why do we call them unknown? Because they're not a proven critter. I mean, we've been out there, we've collected the evidence as a group, as individuals, and we know they're out there. But unfortunately, like so many other things in society, science has kind of changed a bit. They used to go out and look for answers. Now they kind of seem to want answers being brought to them. So we just don't seem to have as many people out looking as what we did when this country was first developed. Why do we do audio? You know, I don't know every noise in the wood. I have no clue what all is out there. So by collecting audio, we can end up with recordings of sounds to be able to identify critters. I mean, I don't know what every sound a coyote makes. I don't know every sound that a fox will make. So by getting those and getting them home, we can compare those with known databases out there. So we're making a database of unknown. You know, again, we can compare them to other databases. Not only databases of known critters, a lot of your universities have got a bunch of good sites where you can go to and compare sound. Another thing that works real well with it is when we compare it with other researchers. You know, if I hear something in my area and I ask somebody else, hey, Don, have you heard this here? Well, what does it sound like? I can't mimic it. And if I do, I'm going to really sound like a fool. So if I've got the audio and I kick it up, this is what I heard. Don can say, oh yeah, you know, I've heard that. So again, another reason why we do this. You know, another way that it really has helped me personally is we can analyze encounters that we have with these critters. If you've got some audio to back up your experience, in the heat of the moment, we all get spooked. In the heat of the moment, our minds are going so fast that we're missing some details that could very well be important. So what we need to do is have that audio available so we can sit down, listen to it 2-3 times. What this sound was there something that led up to this sound? If so, next time we'll be able to hear those indicators too. You know, I don't know if it's just me, but my mind seems to have a hard time wrapping around a lot of this stuff. And by having the audio, it definitely seems to bring more of that into play to where I can understand more of what I'm hearing and why those things might be occurring. Now, one thing that I'm really bad on is when I'm talking to other folks about their encounter. I forget to bring my audio recorder out and tape that type of situation. Because again, we're also looking at details. I might think that it's neat that you know, it was red in color, and it was walking away from those people. Or maybe, like Big Jim, did it have a limp? Was it walking different? You know, those are all details that my mind won't absorb during an interview, that if I've got an interview recorded, it can be analyzed very easily. Where do we set up for audio? I have been asked that question many, many times. Where do we set up? Well, you can set up where there was a sighting. You know, if there's one recorded on a database and it was running across this river, you can set up there. You might end up hearing something. You know, I wish I could say it's better than setting up in a Walmart parking lot, but up in Nevada, Missouri, they ended up having a Bigfoot sighting going through the back lot of a Walmart. They suspect it was dumpster diving, but again, that was turned in as a report. So, who knows where they're at? We just don't know. You know, campgrounds. there's getting to be more and more evidence. Randy touched on it earlier about the Chickasaw National Park. They're in there. They've learned to adapt to people. They've learned that people can give them a benefit that they couldn't get in the woods. So, you know, your public and private campgrounds, hey, when you go to bed at night, if you got a voice recorder, set it up. You might be surprised what you hear. Public parks, again, Ron Bowles was talking about that, you know, by the school ground. You know, these are places where they seem to be acclimating and seeming to be hanging out. So, again, that same area. You're in the area, you can set up a recorder, and there's a chance you can get vocalization. Public lands, great place. There are places all over all these states where there's very seldom anybody in those, except maybe deer hunting. During deer hunting season, yep, it's full. After that, it basically goes nowhere. I mean, you got conservation areas, all those things where there's not proven trails. There isn't a campground and an outhouse for people to use. So again, after deer hunters get done, you know, there are very few in there. Now for me, I think the holy grail is private land. Large tracts of private land. Now, again, with the MADRC, we don't trust it. And you know, I'm a landowner, and I know how touchy I get when someone tries to trespass on my property. Do I care they're there? No, but I want to know they're there. So, if you're lucky enough to have a private landowner say, yeah, go on and do research. As a steward to this type of research, I won't abuse it. I won't leave something behind that's going to make me look bad. For those of you who haven't gone back and looked at the cast, these knuckle prints were caught last year during the symposium. In fact, it was the day before. I got the honor to go out with Josh from Arkansas Tracker. He had found those that morning in Casper. Covered them up because, again, it was kind of like today, right? It was on the crappy side outside. When we got done setting up here Friday night, we headed out to the research area. And I had the pleasure of helping him dig them out of the mud. Dug them out of the mud. We had these white things with a bunch of mud on them. We stopped at the creek on the way back to camp. And we washed these things down. And they started to show themselves. I didn't find the prints. I didn't cast these knuckle prints. But I'll guarantee you, I shared in that excitement because that was so neat. Washing that mud off and seeing what came out from under. Now, during that same weekend out there, I caught a recorder. Let's go ahead and play it. That was an unknown. I ain't never heard that before. And I sent the clip to DW, and the only thing I could even get close to resembling it would be some sort of hog, but it doesn't sound like a hog that I've ever been around. I asked DW about it. I said, hey, it's your research area. You know what's in there? You guys got any hogs? And he said, I haven't seen any sign of it. We've never done it like that. Because I had that audio when I shared it with other researchers, I had Mr. Brian Conroy, avid duck hunter, goes out when it's cold, freezing, whatever, dark, sets up his decoys and duck hunts. He listens to that. He said, you know, I've heard that. And you know, myself, I'm sitting there, hey, all right, because I know he's got a good research. And he says, you know what it is? I said, no. He said, that is the warning call of the blue heron. He had kicked him up the fall before as he was going out to set up the animal. I said, blue heron? I got on the internet. Stand recording was the one that had a real good recording of one just like that sound. So now I got an unknown that's now known. If I should ever get the chance of hearing that again, I'll know what I'm dealing with. But at the time, unless I had the audio to go by, it was an unknown. Now, the other thing is, how could I have told you what I heard? I can't put sounds like that. So again, that's why I record it. When I set up with recordings, I'm a pretty simple fella. I don't complicate things too much. I can't look at recordings like a baseball game. 90% of the time, I'm out and I listen to 14 hours from 2 recorders of bug noises. Or bug noises with noisy chipmunks or squirrels. That's a strikeout, folks. There's just no other way of putting it. I mean, but if we don't put that time in, we're not going to get that 10-second clip or that 15-second clip that's out here. Now this next audio is what I classify as the third base or first base audio. I mean, it's there. You can hear it. It's way off over there. And even if we try to filter and amplify it, all we've got is something that, you know, it sounded weird. Again, it's unknown, but it's so far out there that, you know, even when I tried to put it on filters, you know what, it didn't clean up any. It didn't sound any better than what it did there. Otherwise, all it did was drag out more bug noise. So that's probably the second most common thing you're going to hear out there. Is you're going to hear stuff that is, wow, that's kind of weird. But there's no way I can figure out what this critter might be. Now this next one is what I classify as the second base tone. Your attention. Something that just doesn't fit. Let's go ahead and play that last one. Listen to the end of this when it gets closer to the end. But whatever